Welcome to Yogaroo Online. And in this class today, we're actually going to work a little bit into the front of the hips here, the hip flexors. So the kind of theme of my class today is shifting tension, because often we, in our day-to-day lives, if we are holding any sort of like emotional stress or anxiety, or even if you're just going through a little bit of a busy patch, the body really reflects or mirrors our mood. So I know with me, like, you know, kids have just gone back to school. I go through a period where I can be busy and I can feel everything tensing up, like particularly the jaw, my shoulders, the hip flexors. If I'm sitting more, my schedule is more regular. So we're going a little bit back to work in terms of our schedule post summer of a little bit more freedom. So lots of lovely hip flexor openings in the class today. I'll be reminding you to soften the muscles in your face. Check in to see, as you are concentrating during the class, are you clenching your jaw, or is it are you kind of keeping everything nice and soft? Okay, so I think we will get started. So let's just start in all fours. I'm going to give you some options to flow through. Checking to make sure that I'm connected to my AirPods. Yeah. To flow through a cat-cow sequence or a child's pose flow. So I will we'll just warm up a little bit, and then I'll show you those two versions. And it's just to give some people find this coming down a little bit tough on the arm strength. So I'm going to give an alternative to people who don't like to come down into kind of chaturanga. Okay, let's start with our cat-cows here. And again, just, you know, paying attention to the sensations that these two simple, lovely movements. I start the majority of my classes with a cat-cow, and my own practice too. It's just a lovely way to just ease out any tension through your spine. It's also working your shoulders and your hips. It's doing lots. The only thing it's not particularly working is the legs, but you know, we've plenty of time to work on them later. So just gently easing yourself into your practice, maybe even pushing the hands away in your cow position and pushing that or pulling the hands towards your knee in your cat position. Maybe for your first few rounds, you're not coming to your full range of movement. You're just kind of gently easing yourself into it and just being very kind to yourself at the start of your practice. There'll be plenty of challenges. So you just have to make sure that you are, you know, you kind of give your body a little bit of a chance to warm up. Okay, I'm going to talk you through the two versions of our little flow warm up. So the first one will be the cat-cow version. So we're going to inhale, and don't worry, I'll go through it a few times to make sure you've got it. You're going to inhale just in tabletop position. You're going to exhale into cat pose, inhale into cow pose, and then exhale, press you back to child's pose. So there's the four different poses there, and you're moving with the breath. So it's just 2 full breaths. So let's try through it a few times. So inhale up to all fours, exhale, lifting the spine up. Inhale, softening the belly down towards the floor at the same time, lifting the pelvic floor here, keeping everything contained. And then exhale, pressing back to child's pose, maybe letting the head just drop down gently towards the ground. We'll flow through that one more time, just so you have it in case you're not doing the next version. Inhale up to all fours, lengthen spine back, spine forward. Exhale, lift the spine up towards the ceiling. Inhale, soften the belly down towards the ground. Let the belly expand with the breath there. And then exhale, presses you back to child's pose. Okay, back up to all fours, and I'll show you the second version, and then you get to choose which one suits you best. For this one, maybe just bring the hands forward just a little bit more to have room to come down onto your mat. We're going to inhale here in our slightly extended tabletop position. Exhale, you're going to come all the way down to the ground, making sure that you're not letting those shoulders pull you forward. Inhale up into cobra, and then exhale presses you back to child's pose. So that's the flow. Let's go through it a few times. If coming down using the strength of your arms is a little bit too much for you, come back to the version, the first one I showed you. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Okay, I'll go through the second one a few times here now. So the hands are a little bit further forward. You're going to inhale here, tabletop, lengthen back, lengthen forward. Exhale, coming all the way down. Lift those shoulders up. Think up as you come down here. Inhale, slide the chest forward into the baby cobra. Roll those shoulders back, open the chest, and then exhale, presses you back to child's pose. Let's do one more of them, taking whichever version suits you for one more round. Inhale up to all fours. Exhale, slowly come down. Think up of the shoulders, opening the chest here, all the way down, controlled all the way. Inhale takes you up to baby cobra. Open the shoulders, chest forward, a little bit of a gaze forward, and then exhale, presses you back to child's pose. Okay, let's do one more of them, choosing whichever one you would like to take. So the cat-cow version or the chaturanga version. So I'm going to take the second one. So inhale here, exhale, coming all the way down, or you are taking yourself into your cat. Inhale to cobra or cow, and exhale, everybody meets back in child's pose. Inhale back up to all fours and taking an exhale here. On your next inhale, you're going to pivot that right foot off the mat there, come up onto the balls of the foot and reach the left leg away and reach the left arm up. This is our inhale. On our exhale, we're going to lift that left leg, bend the knee and reach the hand back towards the foot. Okay, we're going to take a few breaths here and then we'll flow through it with the breath. So you're either going to be holding onto the foot if that's possible for you, or just reaching the hand towards the foot. So the difference being, if you're not holding onto the foot, you're actually squeezing it back of that hip and you're really using the glute muscles. If you're holding onto the foot, it gives you a little bit more capacity to stretch the knee back and lengthen out through the front body. So just two different ways, both of them very valid here. And then inhale to reach the legs and the arm away, and exhale back to all fours again. Okay, so we'll take it on to the second side so you'll be able to see what's going on with my leg there. So inhale, pivot the left leg off your mat now. So see the way I pivot there, tuck the toes under. Reach that right leg away now and the right arm comes up. And then exhale, lift that right leg, bend the knee, reach the knee and the hand back towards each other and hold on to the foot. Or just reach towards the foot. So remembering reaching, you're squeezing into the back of that glute there. Holding, you're pulling the knee and well, never pulling the knee, but you're pulling the foot back and the knee is reaching back. So you're lengthening out through the front of the hip there. Inhale to reach everything away again and exhale back to all fours. Okay, so the next little flow and then we'll flow through the whole thing with the breath here. Taking one more inhale here and then exhaling. So bring your knees together for this one. In your next inhale, you're going to lift that right leg up, keeping the knee deeply bent there. So just have a look up behind you and it's like the foot is reaching up towards the ceiling. This is our inhale. And our exhale, same thing. We're going to reach that left arm around towards the foot. So deep balance here. Or you can keep the leg there and just squeeze the buttocks and bring the foot in as far forward as you can, just seeing how your balance is with you today. So you're either reaching the left hand back towards the right foot, either reaching or holding, or if the balance isn't with you today, you're keeping that left hand down and just squeezing the foot towards the buttocks there. And inhale to just lengthen the foot up towards the ceiling again, and exhale brings you back to all fours. Same thing on the second side there. So inhale and one more exhale here just to soften and land. Inhale, lift that left leg up, press the foot up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reach that right hand around now, either reaching it towards the foot, holding onto the foot. So same principles as the other one. You're either squeezing the glute or else you are holding onto the foot and kicking the foot away and resisting it with your hand. If the balance isn't with you today, you're keeping that right hand down and you're squeezing the foot in towards your buttocks as much as possible to try and lengthen out the front of the hip there. Inhale to reach the foot up towards the ceiling with the knee bent, and then exhale back to all fours again. Okay, we're going to combine those two flows together again now. So you're going to start to work out where I am working within your body there. Back of the hips, strengthening, front of the hips, lengthening. So this is what we're doing in our warm-up to prepare us for our standing poses. So let's go with our right side. So inhale, reach the right foot, pivot towards the back of the other side of your mat. Reach left leg away, left arm up. Exhale, lift that left foot, bend, either holding those 3 different versions I gave you, really reaching through that knee there, opening the chest if you're holding onto the foot, and then inhaling to reach away again. So lengthen everything first, squeeze, keep it strong, and then exhale back to all fours again. We'll come straight to the other side now. Pivot the left foot off the mat, reach the right leg away, reach right arm up. Inhaling here, exhaling, lifting that right leg, reach the hand back towards the foot, either reaching, holding, or just squeezing. If you're holding on, you're pulling or gently guiding that foot towards the back of the buttocks there, and you're resisting it with the hand. So that helps you to reach the front of the hip forward. Inhale, lengthen them away again, and exhale, coming back to all fours. Okay, we'll do our second little flow there. We're going to inhale, bring the knees together. Inhale, lift that right leg up, press the foot up towards the ceiling. And exhale, remembering you have the option to keep that left hand on the ground there and just squeeze the foot up towards the buttocks, or you are reaching that left hand around and either reaching towards or holding onto the foot and causing a lovely bow through your whole body there. Reach that knee up, resist the foot away with the hand. It's like you're kicking it and the foot is resisting. Then inhale back to reach the foot up towards the ceiling and exhale to all fours again. Last side here, taking an inhale and an exhale, just to give you a breath. Inhale, lift that left foot up now, press the foot up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reaching around or keeping the right hand on the ground, holding or not onto the foot, lots of options. Squeezing it to the back of the glute there, lift the knee, reach that foot up, resist it with your hand, meaning making this lovely bow shape all the way from the foot to the tip of your crown here. Inhale to reach everything up towards, or the foot up towards the ceiling, and exhale brings you back to all fours. Right, warm up done. So let's start our standing flows here. Inhale in all fours, and then exhale, you're just going to step that left foot forward just to the inside of the left hand there, or sorry, it's your right foot forward. So I'll give you a second to correct there if you need to. So you've stepped your right foot forward just to the inside of the right hand. So we want the feet in line with their hips there, and then inhale to come up. So we're going to do this movement that we do a lot in cat-cow. So this kind of a thing. And what I'd like you to notice, it's less about what's happening in the spine. I want you to notice what's happening in the hips. So I'll actually demo it on this side so you can see. So in our cow pose, or this version, the hip bone is actually moving away from the femur leg there. And in our, that was cat, in cow pose, it's closing in. So it's drawing in towards the femur. So just like notice that it's your pelvis tipping rather than noticing the movement in the spine. So I'll just go back to my right side leg forward and guide you through it. Hands can just be pressed on the top of your right thigh there, or just wherever feels comfortable for you. You're going to be rounding your back and then lengthening up, but I really want you to notice what's happening in the hips there. If it helps, you can kind of slide the hips forward and back, if that helps you to get a little bit of fluid movement. So the same as cat-cow, we're going to inhale into our cow pose, and the pelvis is tilting forwards towards that thigh. Then we're going to exhale, and this is in our cow pose, or the cat pose, we're lifting our spine up usually towards the ceiling, and you see that the pelvis is tilted back there. Okay, let's go through a few of them just to give you the feeling of the pelvis moving forward and back, and maybe even doing one or two where you don't actually move the pelvis forward and back, so that you can really feel sometimes, or the legs forward and back. Sometimes if you do this, you don't actually really notice what's happening in the pelvis. Whereas you keep the whole lower body stable, you're really seeing, and you might notice there's less movement. It just depends on what you're pulling at on your hips there, but you'll definitely feel that frontal hip bone moving towards the thigh and away from it. And just really what I'm trying to get you to notice here is this this deep relationship between everything that happens in the pelvis and the spine. So as the pelvis tilts, the spine reacts to everything that we do. Okay, let's move on. So inhale, reach the arms up high again. So you're pressing into that front foot, you're lifting those hip bones away from that thigh there now. And then exhale, let's just take it into a nice twist to the right hand side. So place the left hand to the outside of the right leg there. That's just a little bit of a splint or something to press against, a little bit of a prop for you, and reach that right arm back towards the back of your mat there. You might even tilt a little bit towards the back right corner of your mat until you start to feel an extra little bit of sensation in this front left hip there. Maybe that arm reaching is too much on the shoulder, so you can place the hand on the back there. Again, doing what suits you on your mat, in your home, in your practice. Inhale, reach the arms up high again, and then exhale, bring the hands down either side of the front foot. We're just going to swap to the second side here, bringing that right leg back to all fours. Inhale here, and then exhale, step that left leg forward just to the inside of the left hand there. Hands onto the front thigh, and we'll bring ourselves up to do our cat-cow movement. So just remembering that you can just isolate the pelvis, coming into our two different shapes, our cat and our cow, or you can add a little bit of movement into the hips or the legs as well. So just seeing what helps you to find this closing of the gap and the opening of the gap between the pelvis and the leg, which is caused by the whole pelvis, this beautiful bowl shape, rotating over the top of the thigh bone there. So that's what's happening as we come into our cat-cows in our low lunge there. Okay, so just, and then noticing what's happening in the back as well, the reaction of the back to the pelvis movement. Let's inhale, reach the arms up high, and exhale, twist it over to the left-hand side. This time, the right hand is on the outside of the left leg, just to help you come into a slightly deeper twist, reach that left hand back towards the back of the mat, or placing the left hand on the lower back there. See now, can you just maybe tilt back just a little bit to this back left side of your mat now? So it's almost like you're a small side bend, or play around with where your body needs to be tilting for you to feel an extra little stretch in that front right hip flexor now. And then inhale, reach the arms up high, and exhale, bring the hands down. And we're going to come all the way down to the mat now and take a few rounds of Shavasana, locust. So on your next inhale, lifting the arms, lifting the legs, reaching the arms towards your feet, opening the chest up, making sure that you're not flexing your neck too much. You're just extending the neck a little bit, and gaze is slightly forward of your mat there. And let's take 3 breaths here. So breathing for 3, breathing for 2, and 1. And then just gently let everything come down. Make a pillow with your hands. Place your forehead on your hands and just let everything relax into the mat. Check in with how you are doing in your practice. Check in with your jaw, the muscles of your face, your shoulders, your breath, your hips. See how they are reacting to the work that you're doing with it. Seeing everything, how everything is doing. Okay, hands either side of the chest there, elbows in. Lift yourself up. We'll start our second flow now. So coming into tabletop position. Inhale here, and then exhale. Step that right leg forward just to the inside of the right hand. Now it's really important that that's quite reasonably wide on your mat now, because for this one we're going to tuck the toes under and come up to the standing version of lunge. So placing both hands on your right knee there, press down into your right knee and lift that left knee up off the ground. Little bend maybe in that left knee until we have warmed up sufficiently for it to be straight. I always start with a little bend in the back leg. So inhale, reach the arms up high again and bring them into cactus position. So we're going to come through our cat-cows in using the arms. So we're going to work a little bit with opening the shoulders and rotating the arms up and down. So this is our inhale, and we open the chest towards the front of your mat, And then our exhale, so our cow, our cat pose, we're rotating the whole cactus arm back so that the whole arm is rotating in the shoulder socket there. So this is what it looks like. Inhale, lovely back bend, opening the chest. Exhale, curling the chest forward, opening through the shoulders, through the back of the shoulders there. Inhale, lifting up. On exhale, it's like your arms are paddles and they're kind of moving through this honey substance either side of you. Inhaling, last round, and then exhaling, scooping through the honey there with your paddles. Inhale, reach the arms up high again, and exhale, we'll come into our twist again. So you're going to bring the right hand to the back of the mat, and we're going to bring the left hand around to the side of your right waist there, or wherever feels comfortable for you. Again, you can place that right hand on your lower back there if holding the weight of your arm in your socket is just a little bit too much. We're not really working hugely with shoulders today. So it's really this front hip here where I want you to feel the sensation. Again, just maybe even reaching a little bit back to the back right corner of your mat. Might even feel nice now to lengthen that left arm up and back to the back right corner of your mat there to extend that stretch from the left heel all the way to the left fingertips. Inhale, reach both arms up now. Exhale, hands either side of the front foot, bring that left knee down, and we're just going to gently swap over to the left side now. Okay, let's take an inhale here. And then on our exhale, we're going to step that left leg forward just to the inside of the left hand, tuck the right toes under, and get ready to come up now. So make sure that you are nice and wide on your mat there so that when you come up, you have a good stable foundation. Press both hands onto your left knee there now. Lift that right knee up. A little bend in that right knee if you need it to start with. And then inhale into our cactus position again. So this is what I'm like in my standing pose. And then these arms are not going to change position. They're just going to rotate in the sockets there. It's a lovely feeling in the shoulder joints. So inhale, coming into our back bend, opening the chest, gaze comes up a little bit. And then exhale, curling the back. Those pedals, our paddles are just rotating forward. Keep them up. So keep the elbow as high as your shoulder there if you can. Inhale, reach the arms up and back. And exhale, paddling through the honey, reach those arms back again. Inhale, reaching one more time. And then exhaling, curling forward. Inhale, reach both arms up now. And then exhale, we're coming into our side bend. So place that left hand either reaching back or onto your lower back. Right hand, maybe let's start with the right hand just reaching onto the outer left hip there. Lots of rights and lefts. And just take it into your twist there. Okay, so I have my left leg forward. I have my left hand on my lower back, and my right hand is reaching anywhere around my left leg where it fits. Now, if that feels good and you want to feel a little bit more sensation in that front right hip flexor, so this muscle here, reach that right arm up and over to the back left side of your mat there. Maybe even see what it feels like to straighten out that right leg now. And then inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, hands either side of that front foot. Bring the right knee down, left leg back. Let's take a few rounds of cat-cow before we take our final flow. Seeing how the back is feeling. Okay, so before we take the final flow, we're going to do a little bit of work with Wild Thing. I'm going to see, can I bring you into it in a much kind of easier way than coming into it from plank pose. So let's just come on to sit on your hips there and reach both legs out in front of you. Place your left or your right, sorry, that is my left hand. Place your left hand just kind of quite a bit away from your left hip there, a little bit of space for the shoulder. You're going to bend your right knee, or sorry, yes, that's my right knee. I'm getting all mixed up today. Bend your right knee and then come up and lift that right hip or the hips up. Reach the right arm up and over. Okay, so it's just a slightly easier version of coming into wild thing. So the leg that is extended, I'll bring you over to the other side, and then we might do both of them again and just feel the stretch a little bit more. So now I have right leg extended, right hand behind my right hip there, left knee bent. I'm just going to place the hand on the knee if you want to, just to lift the hips up and extend that left arm up and over. So it's just a lovely, easy way to coming into a gentler version of wild thing. Okay, let's do it again on the left hand side. So right knee is bent, left leg is straight, left hand has got a little bit of space, a good bit of space now between the hip and the hand there. You can see it on me because we want space for this whole shoulder to lift up and back. Press into your feet, press into the heel of your left leg, lift the hips up, come out to the balls of that right foot, reach the left arm up and over. Breathing, feeling that lovely stretch through the hips there. And exhaling to come back down. Let's bring it over to the right side last time. Left knee bent, right leg straight, right hand behind right hip. Lift the hips up, reach the left arm up and over. Okay, so it's just an easier way of coming into it than this version where I come into it like that, and then I come to side, and then I step over and I take it into. Okay, so coming back to all fours again. I'm going to take it into our last standing flow here. Okay, so inhaling here, exhaling, step that right leg forward. This time the right foot's going to come into the center of the mat now because we're coming into warrior legs. Tuck the left toes under, and as you inhale, lift that left knee up, ground the left foot, place right hand on right knee and circle the left arm up and over. Just sneak your way into your warrior. Let's take a few breaths here in our warrior. Consider our pose and our alignment. So just making sure that your front knee is not overshooting that front ankle. A good squeeze into the back of that left hip here. So we're going to flow through this. So I'd like you to just check your legs and make sure that they're nice and stable before we start flowing. So this good squeeze in that back leg that will open this hip up. Hips are kind of towards the side of your mat or wherever feels kind of most comfortable for you. If really pulling them to the side of your mat pulls on your groin, have them a little bit further towards kind of a 45-degree angle. So always remembering that the actual position of where things should be is not a Bible of you know, if this is not what you're doing, it's wrong, because your muscles will tell you completely different things sometimes. Place your left hand on your left glute there now. I want you to really feel that firing up, and place your right hand on your right thigh, so your right quad. What we're going to do is flow in and out of warrior legs here, and I want you to feel the muscles actively working. So this is going to be your driver, and then your front thigh there is almost like your brakes as you reach the knee forward and back. Okay, so inhale, straighten that front leg there, squeeze that left hip, and then exhale, gently bend that front knee. Feel the activity going on in the top of that, and maybe even give your thigh a little squeeze until you feel the muscles working. Inhale, straighten the front leg, and then exhale, bending, moving lovely and slowly here, so you can really feel the muscles working. Press strongly into your feet here. The more you press into your feet, the more activity will be happening in those legs there for you to feel with your hands. One more time, inhale, lengthen, and then exhale, bend. Okay, reach the right arm forward. Left leg can just slide up and down that left thigh there now. So we're going to straighten the front leg and bring it into reverse. So slightly different version of reverse with the front leg straight. Inhale, the arm comes up and over. And then exhale, pivot the hand around so that it faces towards the mat. That's our exhale. So we're in a kind of half warrior here. Let's flow through that a few more times. So inhale, straighten the front leg, reaching the left arm up and over, or right arm up and over. And then exhale, pivot the hand down again to face the mat, reach the fingertips forward towards the front of your mat. One more time, inhale, reach that right arm up and over, feel a lovely stretch through the ribs there. And then exhale, bringing yourself back down. So let the hips come down to their comfortable position. Bring the hand onto the thigh, onto the glute again. Feel the activity that we observed at the start of this flow. And then let's just come straight to the other side rather than coming down to the mat. So just pivot your feet to the side of your mat and then pivot your feet to the back of your mat. So the left foot is facing towards the back of your mat now. That's the one that's bent. And the right foot is at that 45-degree angle. So finding your way into your warrior pose with the left leg forward this time. So we've just snuck our way to the back of our mat to find our second side of these two little flows that we're doing. Okay, remembering to not have that front knee overshooting the front ankle. Check your position of your feet now, so that, you know, if the kind of starting point is front heel to back arch alignment, but if your balance isn't with you, it's the way to get your balance, or that the hips are giving out in this position, is to widen your stance a little bit. So just walk that left leg foot over a little bit so that they're not necessarily aligned with each other. It means the hips will be a little bit more this direction, but that's absolutely fine. Take what suits your hips, okay? Let's do our little flow again. So right hand now on the right glute, left leg on our left hand on left thigh there. Let's take our flow now, lengthening up through the shoulders, nice and soft here. Check in with yourself now, make sure everything is softening. We're concentrating here, but we're not holding tension in the muscles of our face. Inhale, straighten that front leg, press into that front foot now. Squeeze the back of that right hip. Feel the activity in your underneath the palm of your hand there. And then exhale, press into that front foot, the left foot now. Really feel the breaks of your quads, the tops of your thighs there, as you really slowly bend that front knee and drop the hips back down towards the ground again. Inhale, straighten that front leg, the left leg now. Squeeze, so like even give it an extra squeeze as you come up to the top position, and then exhale, bend that front leg. Feel the brakes working. Last round, inhale, squeeze into that right hip, press into the feet now, help the muscles do their job, and then exhale, bending that left knee down. Gently coming down into your warrior. So now this time we're going to reach the left arm forward, palm towards the ground, and then it rotates to come up, okay? So inhale, rotating the palm up, squeeze into that right hip now, reach the left arm up and over, feel a lovely stretch through the left rib cage now, and then exhale, pivot the hand around so that it faces down towards the mat. Bend that left knee. That's our little flow. So inhale, straighten the front leg, reach the left arm up and over, squeeze, and then exhale, gently bringing the arm down. So can the upper body be nice and fluid as the lower body? It's kind of like, you know, a duck on a pond. The legs are paddling away and the upper body is lovely and elegant. So can the upper body be fluid and elegant in its movement as the lower body works really hard to control this really slow movement? So I don't want jerky, you know, fast breaths. We're trying to get the breaths to be as slow as possible so that the muscles have to work slowly here, which is where we find the strength in them. One more time, inhale, up and over. And then exhale, coming back into our warrior. Let's bring the hands into the hips, pivot the feet around to the side of the mat. Let's take a few breaths in my favorite goddess pose. Just any version of goddess, hands on hips, hands in prayer position, whatever feels good, or maybe even hands on the inner thighs. Let the hips come back a little bit. Just not your most exquisite goddess pose, more just something that feels nice, that you can ease out any little bits of muscle tension that we've caused in our lower legs there as we've worked them. So of course tension builds as we work strongly through our legs, and now we're going to ease that tension out, just a little bit of movement. Okay, so let's pivot around. Actually, we're going to take a standing pose here. So just bring the legs to hip distance there. If you come up to the top of your mat or wherever suits you so that you're able to see me, I'm going to stay at the side of my mat here. So we've worked strongly into the front of the hip flexors and we've strengthened the back of the glutes there. So perfect pose to take you through when we've worked on that is Natarajasana dancer pose. And there's loads of different versions of this. So we're going to start on the right side. I will demo it from the side so you can see what I'm doing with the leg. Pour all your weight into your left foot here now, maybe even lifting those toes up, placing them down one at a time. Maybe placing the left hand on the left hip, okay? The right leg gets light here. bend the right knee and then just holding on to the foot. So we're holding on to the outside of the foot. So this is your first version. Bring yourself to a wall or something if you are finding the balancing a little bit tricky. Okay, so now this version, squeeze into the back of that hip again there now. As you reach the knee back a little bit, stay up tall through the spine here and feel that front of the spine lengthening and the back there, the glutes squeezing and working. So, you know, as one muscle works, the other one lengthens. So this is the perfect example of that. And we're not going to reach the leg back because that will bring us into the next stage where it comes into a back bend. Okay. Feel for that lovely sensation there. Being gentle with your knees as well, so we don't pull too much. And then just gently bringing that right leg down. We'll bring it over to the second side. So now pour all your weight into your right foot. Right hand on right hip. Bend the left knee now and gently bring that left foot up towards your glute. Back of your hips there. Keeping up tall through the spine for this one. And just squeezing the back of that buttocks there, reaching the knee back. So you're just gently reaching it back as you squeeze into the hip. Feeling a little bit of a sensation, probably more so in the front of your quad than actually in this hip flexor here for this first one. Okay, and then just gently letting go of that. We'll do one more version here. And I'm going to give you two options. So pour all your weight into your left foot, left hand on left hip. So first option will be to just take it into a gentle version of dancer pose where you're just going to reach the knee back and you're going to kick that leg back and resist it with your hand there. So you're going to take it and we're staying still quite upright through the spine. If this is going well for you, you can reach that knee back further and then bring the left hand, the index finger and the thumb touching, and the gaze can be to the point where the index finger and thumb touch. Okay, you might need a little bend in that left knee as you reach your chest forward if you have any problems with the hamstring, which I definitely have. Okay, and then let's just gently come out of that one and we'll take it to the other side. So try not to fidget or kind of shift anything. We'll do a little bit of that when we finish. So lift all the toes of your right foot, press them down into the mat. Bend your left knee, right hand on right hip. Reach the hand back towards it. So two versions again. This version where we're staying reasonably upright, but we're reaching that left leg back a little bit further so that we bring the stretch a bit more actively into the front of the body there, keeping the shoulders. I know I'm not a good example because I keep looking towards the screen to check what you're up to, but the shoulders should be faced forward towards the front of your mat there. Trying to keep everything, and the hips as well, everything is squared towards the front of the mat. Make sure that that knee isn't wobbling off to the side there. It's really reaching back. And then if that is going for you, which is definitely a bit wobbly today, index finger and thumb together and reaching your gaze towards your drishti of your fingers. Okay, and then just letting go of that. And now just bringing a little bit of movement to your legs, bending and straightening them, maybe even circling the hips a little bit. So we are definitely ready for the restorative part of our practice. So let's bring ourselves down to the mat. So inhale, reach the arms up high. Exhale, folding down, little bends in the knees if you need to. Inhale, coming up halfway, reach the chest forward there. And exhale, just coming down all the way down to the mat. Okay, so for our restorative part of our practice, we are going to work with a blanket roll. So here's your four-fold blanket, and we're just going to roll it up. Again, you know, a lot of these can be very much subjective to how they feel to use. So I'm going to guide you through the kind of the middle ground version of them. And what you need to do if you find any of these poses, either you're not really feeling much or you're feeling too much, is that you take a roll out. So you unroll it a little bit and come back into your pose. Or indeed, if you're not feeling too much, now remembering restorative is about a lovely opening. not an intense stretching, because we're trying to work with the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and restore. If we're coming too much into an intense stretch, we're working a little bit more towards an action, which is not what we're looking for. But if you need a little bit more, if you're really not feeling anything with one blanket, just roll 2 blankets up. So add another blanket onto it. Okay, our first one is going to be just literally placing the roll underneath our hips there. So just coming into a very gentle and not terribly high raised bridge pose. So back of the hips onto the rolled blanket there, coming down onto your back, and just letting the hips gently drop onto your blanket roll there. Now you can take yourself into constructive rest with the legs, which is the feet hip distance apart and the knees knocked together. And it's just, it's a lovely way to start your restorative practice, because it's the most energy efficient way to hold the legs, because they just are knocking in together. They don't need any muscle activity to keep them suspended there in their bent position. Palms face up towards the ceiling, a little bit of space between your body and your arms. So come back to your habitual areas of the body where you hold tension. So is it your jaw, the muscles around your eye sockets, anywhere around your face, your shoulders? Is it your stomach? Do you kind of hold like stress and anxiety in the muscles around your stomach? Or of course your hips. And as always in our restorative, gently bringing our attention back to our breath and using our breath as our single point of focus, just to quieten the mind. And it takes a few minutes. You know, you've done a busy class, and whilst you might feel ready to relax, sometimes the mind takes a little bit longer to submit to the idea of restoring. And in this part of our practice, that is exactly what we're doing. We are giving back. So it's like, you know, a give and take relationship with our body. We take a little bit, we challenge our body, and then we have to give back. And it's kind of the practice that we're not very good at doing this in life. Like, well, certainly with me, I'm a doer, and I just keep going until I hit a wall, which is just not the way. And that's why I come to my restorative practice in the evenings, to make sure that I have given a little bit back. It's like thinking of it as you know, a bank of self-care. And you take a little bit of the energy, you have to give back a little bit. Okay, we're going to come into our second pose now. So if you had the knees knocked in together, maybe just bring the feet hip distance apart there, lift the hips up a bit, and just slide the blanket up further towards, maybe just into the small of your back for a moment. We're going to come into a side bend. So just bending the elbows, lift yourself up. So we're going to place the blanket just in the small of your waist there, or the curve of your waist. And we're going to come into a little kind of side bend. So this is where you might feel, just depends how deep the curve of your waist is. You might need to increase that, or just even add another blanket on top of it if you don't want to spend time re-rolling. And the knees are just gently bent here, and we're going to come into this nice soft side bend. So it's not one we're going to hold for very long. So don't worry about the positions of your arms. I'm just lying a little bit awkwardly because I've got the mics in my ear. But what I would be doing if I didn't have the AirPods on is I would be lying my side of my left head onto my upper left arm there, and then the right arm can be reaching over. If that's too strong on the shoulder there, just maybe placing the hand on the ground there. But the more you can lengthen through the body from the hip to the fingertips, the more of a kind of lengthening you'll get. through the side of that right body there. Okay, and we're going to gently come over to the other side now. I'm just conscious that that is a little bit strong on the shoulder there of the side you're lying on. So just lifting yourself up and rolling yourself. I'm going to flip to the end of my mat so that I don't have my back to you. Rolling, you can just gently roll yourself over to the other side so that the rolled blanket is now under this, the curve, that little curve of the right side of your waist there. The knees are a little bit bent. And then you're going to reach your right arm up and overhead, palm possibly facing up towards the ceiling, whatever feels comfortable for you. And then reaching the left arm up and over, or placing the left hand just on the ground in front of you. Now, if you have extra blankets, feel free to use them to prop your head, if that feels better than lying on your arm, whatever feels comfortable for you. I'm going to keep that arm down because I think it's probably interfering with the quality of the sound. It doesn't need to be a huge sensation. It's just gently either just filling the space of your waist there, or lifting it up a little bit, or even just feeling the sense of the organs of your abdominal gently resting on that rolled blanket can feel lovely too. Okay, we're going to move to the third. Speaker there. We're going to move to the third version with the rolled blanket. So for this one, we're going to pop the blanket underneath our belly. Okay, so in previous classes, you've had it underneath your hip crease, but this time it's right underneath your belly there. So we're just massaging the organs of the stomach, particularly the digestive system. Again, you can use a blanket for your forehead there if you want to have your arms reaching down. What you're looking for is just something that will lift your forehead up enough so that you have a little bit of space to breathe. Ideally, this position rather than coming onto your cheek, because we want to make sure that we're not bringing any tension into our neck there and unequal stretch in the sides. So hands can be up either side of you there, or the hands can be reached down, or in a T shape, whatever feels nice for your shoulders. Maybe even rocking from side to side and just maybe giving a little bit of a massage to the stomach there. This kind of work with the abdominal is great if you suffer from any sort of bloating or irritable bowel problems. So just kind of massaging all those little receptors in the linings of the gut. And you also might notice that actually there's a lot of sensation in the skin and the tissue around that space, more than you'd kind of expect. I can certainly feel the roll underneath me, even though the roll is not that thick. So remember to adjust your roll, whatever height you need. And see, can you really let your jaw hang here? Maybe even just letting it drop forward a little bit. Check in with the muscles of your face, particularly the lower half of your face. Make sure it's there, nice and soft. And get ready to move to our next pose. So just draw your hands in towards either side of your chest to lift yourself up. Nice and slowly now into a tabletop position. Pop your blankets out to the side there and we'll get ready for our next pose. So the next one, what we're going to set up is a reclined seated pose. So I'll just show you how to build it with your bricks or whatever you have. If you have bricks or books, thick encyclopedias work great. So probably the medium height and the lowest height there. And we're going to pop the bolster on top of that and make sure that it feels nice and secure. So I'm going to give you two options of this, one with the legs bent. So in other words, reclined Baddha Konasana, and then another version where you just have your legs out straight. And the reason why I'm giving you two options is because I want this, because we're talking about shifting tension, I want this to be your absolute most comfortable version of a reclined seated pose. Baddha Konasana is lots of people's favorite, but if you have quite a lot of tension in your inner groin, it may not be your favorite. So that's why I'm going to show you two versions. If you have the spare blankets, pop one of them on your mat there where your hips are going to be. Just again, we're just looking for as much comfort as possible. So I have 4 blankets. I usually always have 4 blankets with me. I'm going to drape one on top of my hips as well, because, you know, again, this is the area that we've working strongly with. Often in my restorative practice, I will drape a blanket over the area that I've really expected a lot of, in a little bit of an appreciation for all that it's done. So I'll just guide you into, just the resting version first, so that the people who are taking that version can start doing that and endure a long version of it. And then I'll guide the other people into Baddha Konasana. So resting, reclined, seated pose. You're literally going to hands either side of the bolster and gently let yourself come down, making sure you're nice and equal along your spine against your bolster. And at this point, I would be putting the blanket across my hips there. You know, if you're starting to cool down, maybe pop another little blanket across your shoulders. Maybe putting your socks on or just doing anything that's going to keep you nice and warm and comfortable. Okay, so the reclined seated group are nice and cozy. So you can just concentrate on your breath and really letting yourself drop into your practice of your restorative yoga. And then for those of you that want to take the Baddha Konasana version, we're going to do the version where we wrap our feet with a blanket. So pop the four-fold blanket underneath your feet there. Bring your knees, or bend your knees and bring your feet up towards your hips with the soles of your feet together. We're going to fold our feet into the blanket there. You bring the ends of your blanket around in between your legs and just pull them and bring them through. You know, your ankles will work as the breaks there, but they're just kind of bringing the whole thing through to make sure that the legs stay in place there. Okay, so if you have spare blankets, what can be nice sometimes, although you probably need quite a few of them, is to pop blankets underneath the hips there. If you have 2 spare ones, just to make sure that they have something to sit against. And then as well, if you have a blanket, to pop it over your hips there, a little bit of medicinal weighting down of the hips. So if you've chosen Baddha Konasana, come down into the lying position. The same as the other people, we're just directing the back of our spine all along the front of the bolster there equally. Palms facing up towards the ceiling. Now, some people like the pillow at the top of the bolster and some people prefer no pillow, so see what works for you. That could be one of the blankets that you roll and pop underneath your knees like that. If the knees are holding any tension or they just feel that there's any sort of a pull in the inner groins, do prop the legs there. Coming back to your breath, always coming back to your breath. Check in with your face again. Check in with your jaw. See, can you relax it? Just letting the lower jaw hang. Can you soften the deep, deep tissue and muscles around your eye sockets? Can you soften the skin across your forehead? So it's like the whole impression of your face is draping over the bones of your skull, like silk. And that silk is flowing over the top and the back of your skull. Flowing down the sides of your face. And it's cool and it's smooth. And yet, like the fabric silk, it does have a warmth and kind of a tactile tenderness to it. Settling into the silence and enjoying this, luxuriating in your restorative. And getting ready now to come out of this pose. If you have your legs out straight, stay there for another few minutes while we get the bent leg people into a straight leg version. So if your legs are bent and you're in Baddha Konasana, just even using the hands either side of the thighs to gently lift your knees up. So using so little muscle, and then reach the legs away, push the blanket with it. And just taking it 1 or 2 breaths here with the legs extended out. So let's incrementally make our way back down to the ground, to our Shavasana. So if you have blankets either side, if you just push them away, you can keep the one underneath you. If you have blankets on your feet there, actually that would be lovely to keep there. So maybe just keep that blanket wrapped around your feet. Lift yourself up just enough so that you can push the 2 bricks that are underneath your bolster away from you. And we're going to come back down again. So we're now just coming back straight down onto the bolsters. So you notice they're a little bit further down, maybe feeling just that little bit extra arch of the back there as we're making our way further towards the ground. And then press your forearms into the ground there. Lift yourself up gently. And then pop the bolster out of the way and coming all the way down to the ground. Now, if you'd like to, you can make a neck roll, which is just a 4-fold blanket rolled, 2 little rolls, and pop that up at the top. And what you're looking for with that is just to fill the space between the back of the neck and the mat. So just a little neck roll. We're not lifting up the neck at all. We're just filling the spaces, which often you will find your most comfortable version of a restorative pose if you just fill all those little gaps and let the whole body feel supported. Now feel the natural curves of the spine there in this lovely symmetrical restorative Shavasana pose. Always very good to take Shavasana even at the end of a restorative practice, just to equal everything out, left and right. Let the spine come into its natural curves. Let the shoulders soften. So let the shoulders, the tops of the shoulders soften towards the mat underneath you. As we gently come back into our day, keeping the eyes closed, have a sense of the brightness around you and the life around you. Containing that external stimulus in the world with the eyes still closed, but really having a sense of that it is all out there. And taking your last few breaths here, really enjoying this time that you have given yourself. And when you are ready, rolling over to your right-hand side, using your left arm to support you, gently, gently come up and find your way into a comfortable seated position. Hands in prayer position at your heart. So as you come to the end of your practice, remembering what we were working on today, shifting tension. So can you come back to that throughout your day? And remembering these little places that we habitually hold tension in our body when we're feeling a little bit mentally stressed. So it's always good to even notice where you are inclined to hold tension and scan through your body to see, are you holding tension through those little busy periods throughout each day? Thumbs to your third eye, to your lips, to your heart center. Namaste. And thank you for practicing with me. So I'd recommend that in the restorative part, like come back to you, you'll all be sent recordings, whether you've done the live or not. And I suggest that you come back to the restorative part and maybe even put the recording on and play around with what is most comfortable for you. So get all your props, get your blankets around you, and tuck blankets in, play around with it. Like that's what I do in the evenings when I'm really looking after myself. So I'll take 1 or 2 restorative poses and I'll play around with them. I won't necessarily do exactly what the pose setup is. I'll add things in, and we're all so different, and it's really important in restorative for you to be completely and utterly held by the floor and your props and be comfortable. So thank you for practicing with me, and I'll see you again next week.